Now, when it comes to focusing on one's actions, when it comes to focusing on one's understanding and what you do in the world that drags you down, that makes you feel like you need to isolate yourself, you shouldn't do it in direct reaction to the stimuli in the world. Just do it in reaction to an inner yearning to know what it is to do better. When you have that inner yearning to know what it is to do better, and you're not repulsed by the world, you're not doing it because you're repulsed, you're doing it because you have a yearning for something more, that's correct motivation. For my research, for my reading and looking into these things, reading different spiritual texts, no matter if it's Christian, if it's also true if it's Hinduism, it's all about motivation. If you retreat from the world because you feel defeated, in a way, not literally, if you retreat from the world because you feel defeated, like you're not a part of it or it's rejected you, then it's not out of a desire, it's not out of a feeling for hope, it's out of a feeling of negation, of you not having a place in the world. You see what I'm saying? It has to be a motivation of looking up and not looking away, if that makes sense.
Right, so it's not what we were saying, it's not an avoidance, but a...
Yeah, it shouldn't be that you're avoiding it, it should be that you desire to be or to do something more. Right. It shouldn't be like you want to avoid what happens in the world. It should be that you want to understand it from a better perspective and raise yourself above it. Instead of just looking away or retreating into your own ego. And I retreat into my own ego sometimes, and I gotta watch this, because everybody does it. Everybody who's not enlightened anyway does it. We retreat into our own ego and say, there's just nobody who understands, or there's so many people in the world who assault us with all these ideas that are so impure. Then we retreat into our ego and say, I'm so much better, I care about these things that are so much better than this. How can I become? And then the real motivation that comes from that, and that should be focused on more than all that other bullshit, is how can I be something more?
Okay, so it's not an isolation; it's an avoidance, and it's not that I choose to.
And see, I'm not just talking about you though, but I know what you're saying.
Right.
Like you can relate to you.
Some people isolate themselves where they can't cope, but. It's not that I choose to isolate myself. It's I choose to avoid certain actions, and
that's a fair thing to do.
Right. So the actions that I was speaking about that I avoid are things that I feel like influence me to think impure, to be impure, which it's everywhere. But there's also a lot. There's also a bright side where there's a lot of good things that enhance your consciousness.
It's kind of like there's a whole bunch of gold and dirt mixed into the same bucket. And the bucket is kind of like space and time. And the dirt is kind of like all the things that are clutter around soul. It's like there's flakes of soul in every single living thing. And there's a lot of dirt that's caked around it, like societal life, like certain forms of entertainment, like choosing to put off certain goals that you have, certain bigger goals than what you're doing right now. All these things are dirt that clutter around these flakes of gold. But when you do spiritual practices, it's like you're shining your own flake of gold that's within yourself. It's kind of like the flake of gold becomes unmuddied, untainted. That's what spiritual action does. And all spiritual action has a root within first. You can't do anything in the world that's spiritual or even negative without it happening first within yourself. Without it being an impulse from some urge within. Without it being a reaction to something that happens first within yourself. And really, we get stuck in these ruts where like we don't see past the dirt that we've had on us for so long. Like I can't see past, you know, not drinking. Like I can't see past the dirt. I can't see myself past it. And that's why I haven't gotten past it, because I can't see myself past it within myself. So since I can't see myself past it, I still drink. And the change isn't necessarily in throwing down the bottle as much as it is seeking something that's far above the bottle. There has to be something that replaces the bottle.
So that's what I'm trying to explain to you. If you have that cosmic consciousness in you, if you try to tune into this cosmic consciousness, for me it's Christ.
Yeah.
For you it might be it's your belief system in Hinduism, but you have to tune into that channel, right? And you need to. So if you have a problem with alcohol, you have to understand that what is alcohol? What is it really doing? It's subduing what? A feeling, an emotion, a feeling of something, of anger.
It's more. See, when I first started drinking, it was more about subduing the pain, because I've always had major depressive disorder. But before I got medicated with medication that actually works, I drank to escape the pain. Then over time, even now when I don't feel as depressed, it became a part of how I approach the world, because I kind of forgot how to approach the world without these material things that help me. I kind of forgot how to approach the world. So the original problem that I was medicating, even though it's not present anymore, the medication, the habit of medication still exists, because I was so used to avoiding it that the thing that I was avoiding, despite it not existing, I still use the same technique to avoid, which is really what a lot of people do that have problems with, you know, whether it be alcohol, drugs, whatever, smoking cigarettes. Hell, some people are addicted to soda. If you drink a fucking liter of Dr. Pepper every day, you're gonna have fucking health issues. I knew one guy that's the son of my dad's friend. He drank 4 Dr. Peppers every day. He didn't drink water. His lung collapsed. He had all kinds of medical issues, and really it was just because he didn't drink water. Like, and just that simple addiction to Dr. Pepper really screwed up all kinds of organs inside of him. And so I mean, there's all kinds of addictions, but they're all the same techniques of habitual avoidance.
Have you ever tried?
Even if what you're avoiding doesn't exist anymore.
Okay, so do you think that, like, listening to the radio, listening to music, maybe affects your ability to cope with alcohol?
Like, makes it easier or better? I mean, like, easier or worse?
It worse? So have you ever tried tuning out everything so that you can iron out your mind, your consciousness in your mind?
That's what meditation is for. I haven't done meditation recently, but before, as part of my spiritual practice, before I go to sleep, I recognize every form, whether it be in gods or spirits, every form of God that I consider close to me. All these different spirits or forms of God, or gods that are parts of God, that are close to me. I recognize them, and then I sit on my bed for a long time, and I iron out where I am in reality, who I am, and I treat before I go to sleep like I'm about to die. Like, I'm about to die when I go to sleep. I treat every day, I like to think that I die when I go to sleep. Now, and then I start thinking about everything that I am and how I understand it and what I need to improve on and what I wish I was doing right before I go to sleep, so that I understand a little bit more and I understand what I would feel before my chances end, before they ultimately end completely, where I don't get another chance in this body, I don't get another chance with being this person. I like to treat before going to bed like that, like I'm going to die, and that's what I tell myself. And I didn't even choose to ever start doing that. It just started happening, and I think it's some influence that God had on me through some form, I'm sure. But yeah, I mean, I just started doing that randomly, and that isolates me and makes me really fall into my own place and my own person more than anything else that I do during the day, I think. And you know, I might sit there for anywhere from 10 to 30 minutes before I ever lay down. And it's not even meditation. I mean, I wish I meditated more. I have no excuse not to meditate more, but it's contemplation before I go to sleep. And there's no other stimuli, just me sitting there. No candle, no nothing. But
so what is your plan to eliminate, to be pure in thought and mind, to where that you don't feel like you need anything outside factors, which you know we're talking about alcohol, tobacco, or any other substance, right? Because that's going to limit you to
yes, but yes, and I mean
it's like these you know, frequent or unfrequent, whatever, it can be once a week. That's still, to me, it's frequent. So you have these spikes in this behavior.
Yeah.
What is the cause of this spike?
Well, what is the plan basically? You're saying to get past it. What's the plan? Honestly, the only plan that I have is completely inside oriented, and it's completely dependent on me learning knowledge that I think that can help me, and I haven't learned anything yet that I've been able to completely embrace that has helped me completely put aside a habit. Not that I've really tried. The thing is, I have a lack in willpower, to be honest. I have for the creative potential and insight, I just have the lack of willpower, and to the point where I don't even try to get past the habits. But I mean, I don't want this to be a discussion completely about drinking or smoking or anything.
Well, I just wanted to say that.
But I mean,
have you ever thought about tuning out outside factors? Like, do you listen to the radio? Do you listen to rock and roll?
Yeah.
On a daily basis, right? Do you think that if you eliminated that frequency, that there might be a change in you, that to where you will see your problems? Well, it doesn't have to be alcohol; it could be something else. You could have problems in
you can be angry off it.
You can be angry.
But
so have you ever tried to just
the only time,
that frequency?
honestly, dude, the only time I tune everything out is right before bed and just focus on myself. But you gotta realize that I notice that even when I'm not listening to the radio, if I'm just driving, if I'm just standing somewhere, if I'm just stocking produce, whatever, it doesn't matter. I notice that when I'm doing that, even if I am not